Welcome into Around the Felt, our week 3 predictions. Reagan, I am back. Did you miss me, brother? I'm feeling a little bit better today.
Yeah, no, it's good. I mean, you hate to see your co-host go out with a tummy ache. I mean, I remember
Uh,
when I
you
was
know,
5 years old.
it's pretty aggressive. It was a pretty aggressive tummy ache. So
Mhm,
I'll say
mhm.
that. And it happened like 20 minutes before recording. So was not in the state to do it. But I heard
Yeah,
you guys absolutely crushed it. Thank you, G, for stepping up yesterday. But yes, I am back. Have to be back for the week 3 predictions. And I don't
it's
know,
in the
Reagan,
blood, baby. It's in
did you
the
did you
blood.
did you
The
mention
lotions don't.
yesterday
What's
that
good?
I'm sure you mentioned yesterday but how terrible my picks were yet again. But did you mention the big Tong parlay smacking again?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we didn't get into the standings because I felt like I'd rather give you shit in person.
Yeah, dude.
We did
Another bad
mention the
week.
big tongs thing. I said, and I quote, "If Colin had Dave's personality, this podcast would be blowing up right now because stat nerds do not sell, but damn, that guy does print. So if
I
he were,
print 23
if this
units.
was Drock putting this out, we might be famous by now.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe with the touchdown score parlays, I gotta get a little bit more creative than just doing the edits. But
I mean,
we'll
just
work
a
on
little
it.
more, a little less nerd, a little more zest. I don't know, get a little zesty with it, a little flamboyant.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, I'm 2 weeks in. I'm still getting used to it. I'm working on
Mhm,
my
mhm.
craft. But one thing that won't change is me smacking these parlays. That's not going to change.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll give it to you, man. You've been printing, and I've been happy to cash on
Hey,
the big dogs parlays.
I'm more happy of the people that make money tailing than me for my own wallet, and that's a fact. That's a
That
fact.
is
When
a
people
fact.
text me, "Hey, you did it again," I was like, "Hey guys, I'm doing it for the people. That's the real
I did
reason
it
I'm doing it.
again, and I'll do it
Not to pay
again.
my rent. Not to pay my rent." Okay.
Yeah,
All right, Reagan. Let's dive into the news. I know you and Big G covered a lot of it yesterday, so just recently today, Jordan Love practiced, and it's not out of the question that he could play this Sunday. I still think there's a little bit of gamesmanship, Reagan. I don't think he plays, but the fact that it's on the table is really positive news for Packers fans.
yeah. No, I mean it's massive, dude. I mean, I I don't think he'll play. I mean, clearly they were able to stay
You're right.
afloat.
You good?
Win a
You
game.
good?
Yeah, I think I got your stomach bug, sorry. But yeah, no, obviously they were able to stay afloat and still get the dub with Malik Willis. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest game. I mean, you don't usually see teams win running the ball 57 times and only throwing it like 15, but
And
they
yeah,
did it.
completed 12 passes.
They did it, man. So, uh yeah, I mean, if he can play, that's huge. But I do think the Titans get their first win here, but we'll get into that in a little bit.
Ooh, okay,
Mhm,
okay.
mhm.
Other positive news for Rams fans and for fantasy holders, there's no IR for Cooper Cup, which means he could be back in 2 weeks, which would be huge because Puka Nakua's absence will be longer. So once they get Cup back, it's time to roll, and he's going to be the alpha in that offense. Big for my fantasy team. I know my lineups are missing him dearly this week.
Yeah, I mean, I have him in a couple underdog leagues, so I'm hoping he's back sooner than later. I mean, it's definitely interesting. Me and Garrett, Caleb actually asked what like weapon we like in this offense right now. I kind of said I like Parkinson, I like the rookie Whittingham, but it's going to be a crapshoot. I mean, it's basically taking your lottery ticket. I mean, there's 4 or 5 guys at the wide receiver room right now. I think they're all going to get a crack at it, but with Cup and Nakua out and Stafford's history, I mean, he over targets guys. So somebody is going to get like 10 to 15 targets this week, and just hopefully you pick right.
Yeah, and it's been tough for Kyron Williams to get rolling because there's so many injuries up
Yeah,
front as well. But I mean, at least he's getting you touchdowns to kind of salvage the fantasy points. But yeah, that offense, oh man. People are already writing off the Rams season. People were doing that last year. They were 3-6 and they made a run. So you never know, especially with
that is
Sean
true.
McVay and Matthew Stafford at the helm. Okay, that wraps up our news. Hey, Big G, you're back on tonight.
Where are you, G? Where are
Where
you,
are
G?
you,
You going to
G?
come in here? Oh,
We'll
G's
be,
hiding. Oh, there's G.
There I am.
Whoa, that
Thanks for
lighting
having
is
me on again.
badass. Oh, come on, dude. You're always
Come
welcome.
on, we got a good camera around here.
That's good
Not
to
Yeah,
hear.
cheap
I
like
need
my
one of
brother
those.
over there.
yeah. Well,
Buy our merch so we can get new cameras.
yep.
Yeah.
As
And
soon as we make
also, before
make
we
our
dive,
merch.
yeah, as soon as we make the merch. And also, before we dive
Uh,
into the questions, if you're listening right now, whatever platform, please make sure you like and subscribe. Really helps us out. Boys appreciate it. Okay, Big G, what do we got for questions?
Let's get right into it. Thank you to everyone who submitted. We're going to start with Austin tonight. as usual.
Yay.
Wow, I'm really shocked that
Austie.
Austy's starting us off.
He wants to know which player is going to have the biggest performance this week.
All
Easy
right.
for me. Very easy.
All right.
Easy.
Starter us out.
Jamar Chase. The Commanders secondary to number 1 wide receivers, they just let up the floodgates open. Absolutely open. This is dating back to last year. And I actually saw like a 15-game trend of the number 1 option for every team's passing attack. And yeah, you'd expect the big time wide receivers. They all dominated. I mean, we saw week 1, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin dominated. We saw last week, Malik Neighbors in his second NFL game dominated. But even going back to last year, it was like Darius Slayton is the number 1 option for the Giants, dominated. Darren Waller for the number 1 option for the Giants, had the best game he had for the Giants. So guys that you wouldn't even think about as alpha number 1s just absolutely feasted. This is the Monday night game. Jamar Chase is going to feast. The Bengals are pissed off. Burrow's pissed off. They're 0-2. They're very close to being 2-0, but it's not how it works. I think they're going to come out and the offense could be cooking, and Burrow's going to find Chase early and often. I think Chase gets 15 targets, and he scores. And he's also in Big Tongue's touchdown score parlay. I know I've been sticking to Sundays, but this matchup's too good for me to pass up. We're going to have to wait till Monday to see if we cash, hopefully. And I got Jamar Chase.
Hey, that's all right. I can wait an extra day for my money. I'm going to go with David Montgomery. I think he's going to have a big week.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, you could say Gibbs too. I really do think both running backs are going to go for over 100 yards here. And I think that he's kind of the one that always gets the goal line work. So I think the Lions are 100% putting up over 30 points this week. I think this is a huge bounce back win. I think Arizona's soaring a little high off that win where the Lions are coming in pissed off, haven't really looked great in their first 2 matchups. I think they're going to make some big adjustments here. I think David Montgomery goes for over 100 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns here and puts up damn near 25 fantasy points this week.
Reagan, I love that because David Montgomery is also in Big Tongue's touchdown score parlay this week. He's scored twice. He's scored twice, once in each game thus far. And that was against the Jets. You know, much better defense than the Cardinals. And against Tampa Bay. And now you got preseason.
He scored against the Jets.
He didn't play the Jets.
Oh, I'm sorry. He didn't fucking play.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, take it back. Walk that back.
Because the other guy in the touchdown score parlay is Jordan Mason. So I was thinking about the Niners schedule.
You got ahead of yourself.
But yes, I got ahead of myself. Jordan Mason is also in it now that you know. But Montgomery scored in each game, and Sharp's preseason offensive line ranks for the Lions was number 1. The preseason defensive front ranks for the Cardinals was dead last at 32. You could argue where they are, but there's no denying that Lions front should absolutely dominate and create a ton of holes for that run game. So, Reagan, I love that play. And I could also see both going for over 100.
Thank you. I can too.
All right.
That's how I said
calling your shot. He wants to know what team is going to have the biggest showing this week.
So I feel like that's got to be an underdog pick, right?
Giants are going to whoop the Browns' ass. Kidding.
I think, and I was looking at the doc, but I think the Jaguars are going to get their first win here on the road in Buffalo.
I have that too.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if that's your biggest surprise, but that is a huge surprise for me. I expect Jacksonville. I think it's panic time there. And I think a lot of people are going to be betting on the Bills here, giving them 5 points. So I think Jacksonville gets it done, gets the road win. I think they're going to find ways to get Christian Kirk more involved because his involvement has just been non-existent for Trevor Lawrence's number 1 target. Same with Evan Ingram. I think both guys will get more involved. And I also think the Bills are very susceptible to the run. So I think ETN has a big game here. And I think Bigsby is actually flexible here. I think he could be a guy that, pushes 10 fantasy points this week because he gets a touchdown and has like 30, 40 yards on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, you stole mine there. That's what I had. A little upset about that. Damn, dude. If we want to go a different route, I'm going to go back to the well with the Packers in a Malik Willis revenge game here. Not that it's a huge showing. They're only 3-point dogs. But I think if you can escape and get 2 wins with Jordan Love being out with Malik Willis at the helm, it's just massive for the Packers and their outlook for the season. So I'll go that route since you took my biggest upset that I had this week.
Sounds good.
All right. He wants to know what game this week is going to be the best to watch.
Definitely not Patriots Jets. I think tomorrow night's game is going to suck. I genuinely think it's going to suck.
Thursday night games are usually duds.
I know. We're getting right into it now with the Thursday night games where they're just duds, and it's like, oh god, everyone wants to take a same game parlay, and it's the only game on, and you just don't get the offensive output that you want.
I think Lions Cardinals is going to be really good. I do think the Lions are going to win here, and I think this is going to be super high scoring. So for those of you that love fantasy football and love games with a lot of points, this is the matchup for you. I mean, it's the highest.
Total. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it
It is
is.
the highest
Okay, it is the
total.
highest. So
Yeah.
I had to check on that Eagles Saints game, but 51.5 points. Vegas is expecting a lot of points, so I expect this game to be fireworks. Wouldn't be shocked if both teams are up in the 30 mark. Like I'm in this one pool where it's the 33-point pool where you have to pick a team each week to get 33 or more. Lions are my pick. I feel very confident in them this week to get over 30, or actually over 33 in this case.
I'm going to go Baltimore, Dallas. Obviously, two really good teams, but right now Baltimore's 0-2, and Dallas got their ass kicked by the Saints. So I think the stakes are high for both teams right now to right the ship, especially with Dallas being at home and Baltimore. Who would have thought they have a chance to go to 0-3? I mean, no one would have thought they would have lost to the Raiders. Obviously, Kansas City and Dallas in two of the first three games is tough, but I think Baltimore needs to right the ship right now, and Dallas has to show that last week was a fluke. But I think based off pure talent, that's the best game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. It'll be good to see how Lamar answers. 0-3 for John Harbaugh would be crazy.
Right?
But
Yeah.
his next question is, who is a must start in fantasy football this week?
Must start. So that's a guy that's like
Must
a
start.
cinch.
Let's go outside the box. Must start
Yeah.
obviously
Well,
you're
it'd
gonna
have to be
start
a guy that you're
you're
not.
gonna
Yeah,
start your Jamar Chases, you're gonna start your CD Lambs.
yeah. It
You
would
know
have
what
to be
I
a
think?
fringe guy. Yeah.
A must start at flex. Jameson Williams. He's looked real good the first 2 weeks. His target share is way up there. Reagan's already highlighted what this Lions offense can do this week. But Amon-Ra's, he will probably play, but he's still beat up. And even last week when Amon-Ra had all those targets and had 120 yards, Jameson Williams still had a really good game. So I think Jameson Williams, I was really tempted to put him in the parlay. It was just really risky. But I think Jameson Williams at flex, I got him plugged in 2 right now, and I think it's a smash play.
Yeah, so a must start for me, Chuba Hubbard, a guy that some people might be very nervous about after the first 2 games. He looked good comparability. Oh my gosh, English is
Jeez,
hard.
man. Come on, dude.
Somebody say it. Anyway, he looked great compared to the rest of the offense. I mean, the
There
whole
it
offense
is.
looked bad, but yeah, he had almost 70 rushing yards. But the biggest thing for me is Andy Dalton's going to have this offense looking better. The Raiders have obviously been gashed by the Chargers in week 1 with J.K. Dobbins, a guy coming off of an Achilles tear. And then Derrick Henry had a pretty big game as well. So I think Hubbard is going to be a guy that could easily get over 100 rushing yards this week and a touchdown. So to me, he's a must start. I think a lot of people might be like, I don't know. The offenses look terrible. They haven't been able to put up points. I think there'll be more red zone opportunities. I think the ball will be pushed downfield more, which will open up the run more for Hubbard here. And he's the guy with no Jonathan Brooks. I'm not worried about Miles Sanders at all. I mean, Hubbard's the guy for them right now.
All right. On the flip side, he wants to know a fantasy football player you would bench this week.
I mean, if Malik Willis is playing all Packers wide receivers, I mean, obviously if Jordan Love plays, then who cares? But if it's Willis, Dobbs, Reed, Watson, put him on the bench. I mean, he threw the ball 14 times last week. And even if the passing attempts are up, I have no confidence. I mean, Wicks had the touchdown. Still, didn't break 10 points. Dobbs was 3 for 60. I mean, none of those guys even broke 10 points in any platform, whether it's half point, full point, or no points per reception. So to me, all Packers are guys I would not start at the wide receiver position.
I'll go a similar route here. I wouldn't start any of the Colts receivers, and that includes Michael Pittman. The Bears secondary, yeah, I mean, Stroud and Nico Collins had a day, but that's Stroud and Nico Collins. Richardson's really struggled with his accuracy. His completion rate is near 50%, and they just haven't been completing enough passes. Yeah, Pierce has had a couple pretty good games, but it's not like he's having a ton of catches. He's just getting those deep balls, and that's going to be way more difficult against the Chicago secondary compared to who they played thus far. So I would sit the Colts wide receivers in this one. I think they will win the game, but I think it's going to be through Jonathan Taylor in the legs of Anthony Richardson more so than the passing attack.
All right. Next up, we got Walmart. He says, Tom, feels great to be 1-1. Then he writes, what can we expect from Trevor Lawrence for the rest of the season? Will he turn it around?
Walmart is not very high on Lawrence right now. He gave up a haul to get him last year. I believe it was 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 thirds. So it's a super flex league. He thought he was chilling with this quarterback tandem of Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence. but Lawrence just hasn't gotten the job done yet. And I mean, I don't know if he's been a top 10 fantasy quarterback yet. He's been on the cusp. Maybe 1 year he got it done, but he just has not shown that generational ability that we thought we were going to get when they took him number 1. Now he has had, I mean, week 1 against, who did he have week 1? I know he had Cleveland, but who did he have week 1?
The Colts. Or no,
Miami, right?
Miami.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are 2 really good secondaries. Really good. Like top 10 secondaries in the league. So I'm not writing off Trevor Lawrence. I still think he'll finish in the 12 to 15 range, which as your QB2, that's solid. That's good. But I don't think he's ever going to push into that top 5 kind of range, especially because he has shown us he can run. He just doesn't do it often. So I don't know. I mean, it looks like you might have given him a little bit too much for T-Law, brother, but better days are ahead, though.
Yeah, I mean, he just has tongue. I mean, I'm glad you're rubbing it in his face about the Commanders. I mean, you guys, showed who's the big bro.
Yeah, I ignored that comment for a reason.
And then with T-Law, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm pretty down on him. I mean, I don't think you should trade him away because you're probably trading him away at his floor. I expect him to have a bigger week this week, but he's just not the guy that you expected him to be. So, but at this point with what you gave up, I mean, you kind of have to hold on and just hope that he can come close to that potential. And I mean, it would be nice to see him get more active with his legs. I mean, he's nice on the move. Like he can run. So it'd be nice to see if they design more plays for him to kind of run the ball a little bit too.
Yeah, I had him as my guy for fantasy episode, so I'm with you on that, Walmart. His next question. He wants you guys to re-rank the rookie wide receivers in terms of
The
times.
Wookiee. This is not Star Wars, idiot. Wookiee.
Oh!
Oh.
All right. Rank
okay,
the Wookiees. Those Wookiees.
All right, so
re-rank them.
The wide receivers.
Coming in at Wookiee number 1, I have Marvin Harrison. Coming in at number 2, I have Malik Neighbors. For number 3 right now, who is it? Rome? No, it's not. Rome was not built in a day, and I don't think he's going to have a great rookie year. So I might go with Brian Thomas. I mean, he's looked great so far out of all the other rookies. I mean, then at 4, I might put Ladd for now. 5, I would then probably put in Rome. 6, I guess Keon. I mean,
no, Worthy.
Say Worthy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Worthy. Yeah,
Keon has done shit.
I would put Worthy over Keon. I knew I was forgetting someone. And then Keon would be after Worthy. I mean, is there anyone else I'm forgetting? I mean, Leggett has done nothing. Pearsall's not playing
Roman
yet.
Wilson, nothing. Pearsall,
Roman Wilson, no. Malachi Corley, nothing. So,
yeah, I mean, I really want to argue for Neighbors 1. Like, I think you can pick your poison 1 and 2 there. Just the way that Neighbors looks like. No, I mean, that's the consensus is Marv, but it's by a slim margin. It's not like it's a blowout. You can make the argument. Number 3, I've been very high on Brian Thomas since before he even suited up for Jacksonville. So I'm going to go Brian Thomas at number 3 as well. What's concerning about Rome Odunes for me is that Keenan Allen's not even in, but the entire offense just looks so bad. Like Swift has been terrible. Caleb's getting hit so much, but he's forcing shit now. DJ Moore hasn't been able to get going, but I mean, we saw just last week, bro. I was talking about this in the preseason pods. What happened with JSN, bro? He had his massive breakout game when he was pissed that Shane Waldron was his OC, and he's like, is this live? I guess he's a good guy. Like, because Shane Waldron's now the OC for Chicago. So I don't love Shane Waldron in that situation. But Rome, like, is still really talented. I'd still go Rome over Worthy just because I think he's a better player. And Worthy, yeah, he scored 2 touchdowns week 1, but the consistency is just not there yet. But also Rome hasn't done shit, and he could have caught a touchdown in week 1 and just hit his hands. It is difficult, bro. It's like the top 2 are in a class of their own, and then there's big drop-offs. Like there's multiple tiers down right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. Here we go from Max. He wants to know, if you're the GM of the Vikings, what do you do with Sam Darnold after this season?
I mean,
to add to that, he wants to know, what would you do if he manages to make the playoffs this year?
I mean, hey, the good thing is that's not a bad problem to have in the NFL. I mean, quarterback controversy because you got a guy playing well is never a bad problem. I mean, I still think you have to go with McCarthy. And I also think there will be a team, if Darnold does get him into the playoffs, that's going to offer him a pretty decent sized contract, which I don't think the Vikings want to match. You'd rather have the rookie quarterback that you did they technically no, they didn't trade up for no, they
Yeah, they
did.
did.
They
Yeah,
traded
they
up with
did.
the Jets one pick to get him.
Yeah.
So obviously he's way cheaper. So I can't imagine them going out and giving Sam Darnold a new contract next year for 30 million, which in this scenario you would think you would fetch similar to the Daniel Jones, Geno Smith type structure, where it's going to be easy to get out of, but they're going to give him a sizable contract, and you're already paying Jettas big and stuff, and they got some other guys. Obviously, you paid Grenard and the O line's sick, but a lot of those guys are going to be needing to get paid. So yeah, I mean, I think they would end up letting him walk. I mean, maybe you can work out a franchise tag type thing where you're able to trade him or something, but I don't think there's a world where they can keep him even if they do make the playoffs. I mean, Super Bowl, then you really got a conversation, but I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where if they're a solid team and they just miss out in the playoffs, but Darnold plays well for the majority of the year, there could certainly be a team that wants to give him like starting money, especially as a bridge quarterback. Because we're seeing these rookies come in, and the class next year is not nearly as good as this year. But Caleb's struggling, Nick's is struggling. We just saw number 1 overall pick Bryce Young get benched after 1 year. I think more teams might want to let their guys sit for a little bit, like what the Patriots are doing with Drake May. So I think Darnold is like what he was for McCarthy, which he still can be for McCarthy, but McCarthy's going to sit and learn for a whole year at this point, just try to get the mental part of the game down. I think Darnold is going to have an opportunity to do what he was supposed to do in Minnesota this year. Now he's entrenched as a starter. But if they do make the playoffs, then he could get like, all right, Darnold, you're our guy type of money, like similar to a Baker Mayfield situation.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up. It would be very similar to Baker, where you bring him in, you don't give him the big contract right away, you give him the 1 year prove it deal, but you don't also bring in any competition for him, where it's like, hey, this is your year to start. Like Kyle Trask is your competition. If you ball out, like we will give you the big contract.
All right, Max wrote in a couple different names, and he wants to know: are you buying or selling the fantasy hype this year?
Okay.
Ooh, I like this.
First name: Kyler Murray.
Buying 100% until Call of Duty comes out. 100%.
All right, Brock Bowers.
Buying, heavy buying. The targets are so there. I think I was way off on Bowers. Like as a rookie tight end, it's very difficult. But dude, he looks really good, and he's getting so many targets. And we know the talent's there. He won the best tight end in college football twice. No one's ever done it.
I think
buying.
so.
You
I'm
make the
like in the
argument he's
middle
number
grounds
one
where
dynasty tight end.
I need to see one more week. If I'm in a redraft league, if he goes off one more time, I am selling high on him just because right now he's off to a crazy hot start. So if you could sell high on him and be like, look what he's doing so far, because I don't think he'll keep up on that pace. I think he'll kind of regress a little bit. And maybe you can go and shop him and go get like a Trey McBride, package it together, get him, or go get Laporta and just be like, knowing Laporta is going to get better at some point. You know what I mean? So I would almost kind of wait to see what he does over the next couple weeks and then maybe sell high on him.
Malik Neighbors.
Buying 18 targets speaks for itself. Doesn't matter how the quarterback is if you're getting that many targets.
It's so tough because week 1, I mean, he looked okay, decent, but then last week he plays the Commanders. So I need to see one more week. Right now I'm still slightly out just on the quarterback play, but if he's able to have another big week where he's heavily targeted, then I'm fully in. So I just need to see him do it against a team that's not the Commanders.
Bro,
so the Browns will
rookies,
be a
though.
huge.
What are they supposed to do in week 1? It's their first game.
No, I know. I'm just saying the Commanders is like the worst team to go off of after a week. Their secondary is so bad. So if
Yeah.
he can do it against the Browns next week, I'm totally bought in. It's just, I can't fully buy in when you do it against the Commanders. It wasn't like one of the top secondaries or even an above
100%.
average. That was
I get that. I get that argument 100%.
And it was like also you got to remember it was like the perfect game script for them. Like they were in it the whole time. Like it was a very even match team. Like
it was not the perfect game script. The Commanders had 15 more minutes of time of possession.
No, I know. I'm saying it's like in the sense
field.
where they're actually playing a team that they can move the ball against, is what I'm saying.
Yes, they can
they're
move
not
the
playing
ball.
The
but
Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys that are going to stomp them out like 30-10, and they're struggling all game with games with 3 and outs. Like they were actually able to move the ball. So that's what I'm more so saying. And like when they play the Panthers, that's a good game script where they're going to be in it. They're going to be able to move the ball and sustain long drives where, hey, he actually will get red zone opportunities and red zone targets. Like, yeah, he'll get some garbage time yards against the Cowboys and the Eagles, but how many red zone opportunities are going to be there? You may go all game without even a red zone target.
All right, we got another one fantasy-wise. It's a start start or bench this week, and he listed some guys. He wants to know Neighbors against the Browns or Harrison against the Lions.
Definitely Harrison against the
Yeah,
Lions.
Harrison.
Much better matchup.
And also, like, you saw, like, what I mean, Neighbors got all the targets and he stole the touchdown. But I mean, you saw Harrison did all of his work in the first quarter, and then it was kind of like they just didn't need to do anything after that. So that, like, looking at those numbers in 1 quarter's worth of work, it really excites me. But also, a lot of it is the matchup, and I expect the Browns Giants in Cleveland to be very low scoring and ugly, where I expect the Cardinals Lions to be fireworks.
Yes.
All right,
Yeah. Even though
Devon
it's
H.
less mouths to feed for the Giants, it's
just
matchup dependent.
the Browns are going to beat the Giants like 14-6. Like, it's going to be ugly and low scoring.
Devon A-Chain versus Seattle or James Cook versus Jacksonville.
Achan. Jacksonville's got a good front. Don't sleep on that front. And I like James
Yeah.
Cook, but also there's always a threat that Josh Allen's taking his touchdowns. Devon Achan just had a bum ankle and got 30 fucking touches.
Yeah,
know?
plus with Tua out, I think they're going to rely more on the run as well. I mean, and also, like, we saw Skylar Thompson. I mean, who really couldn't push the ball down the field, so I think he's going to get some checkdowns and stuff.
A lot of
And also,
checkdowns, a lot of speed sweeps. Yeah,
Seattle's
I see a lot of that.
defense, like, does not scare me at all. They look really good right now because you went against debatably the 2 worst offenses in the league in the
Denver and New
Patriots, led
England.
by Jacoby Myers and Bo Nix, who didn't even, like, have a target downfield. It was just all check down. So I think Seattle's numbers are a little skewed right now.
All right, the final one from him. Ridley versus Green Bay or Terry McLaurin versus the Bengals?
I mean, Ridley had a really good game last week. Terry's just not getting targeted by Jaden right now. I mean, unless Deontay Banks is really that dude and shut him down. But
He had 6 catches, but it's just the 22 yards is not encouraging.
Yeah, I think I'd go Ridley. I don't love either one though.
I lean Terry just because you think things are going to be figured out, but also, like, I don't know. It's just tough in that matchup because I think I just think Jair's going to be shadowing him the whole time. I mean, Hopkins is not fully back yet. He's not 100%. I mean, obviously Ridley's his number one guy, but I think Green Bay saw, like, last week kind of what they were able to do with him, and I think they're going to scheme him out where, like, right now I think the Bengals' main focus is making Daniels beat him as a passer and not letting him run, because clearly Washington's best offenses right now has been Daniels on the move, and then Brian Robinson has been lighting it up. So I think they're going to almost force him to pass it, which bodes well for McLaurin.
All right, we got Caleb with the next questions.
Williams.
Shout out you, Caleb. Which of the 3 winless AFC South teams are most likely to get their first win this week?
I have all of them but the Browns, or all of them but the Colts. What the fuck am I talking about? I have all of them but the Colts. I have the Titans getting the upset, or I'm sorry, they're the favorites. I have the Titans getting the win. I have the Jaguars getting the upset win, and I have the Bears edging the Colts because I just think the Bears defense is going to be too much for Richardson.
I have the Colts. I actually have the Packers being the Titans. I also have the Jaguars upsetting, but the Colts are 1-point favorite. Jags are, I believe, 5.5-point dogs. I'm actually going to go with the Colts.
Dude, I'm going to be honest. Out of those 3 teams, Tennessee has looked the best to me out of the 3. Tennessee has looked good. They should have beaten the Bears, and honestly, they should have beat the Jets. Like, as a Jet fan, we should have lost that game. So Tennessee, if Will Levis just, he looks good. He looks good. It's just some dumb decision making, but Will Levis looks like he should be a starter in this league. I was talking about it yesterday. I fully believe in him. If he can kind of get rid of some of those dumb turnovers, they would be a 2-0 team right now. The defense looks great. So I definitely think Tennessee gets the win this week. I think the defense is going to be a huge part, and I think if it is Malik Willis, they're going to make him very uncomfortable, and I think they're going to have a way better game plan. You're not going to be able to run the ball 50-something times. Exactly. Like, against the Bears, he lost in that game, and against the Jets, he had that one bad turnover. But, I mean, at the end of the game,
a really bad turnover.
Both of them were bad. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know which one was worse, because the one was in the red zone.
What the fuck you doing?
I mean, the one was a pick 6, so that's obviously worse, but the other one was in the red zone, and he just completely threw it, backwards for no reason. Like, it was 3rd and goal. You were not getting the touchdown. Like, he's not scoring there. So just don't do it and take your field goal. And it goes from a 10-point game to a 7-point game, and the Jets also take over. So,
all right, to follow up with the Jets talk, is the Jets offense good enough to carry the team this year if the defense continues to underperform? He says, I'm not convinced based on the first 2 games.
No.
What point do they get desperate and pay Hassan Reddick?
I'm thinking soon.
Yeah, no, Max is
Not
a
this
fellow
week.
Jet fan. Well,
This is
definitely not
Caleb.
good enough. I mean, we don't have the wide receivers. I mean, like Lazard was non-existent after the first game. Mike Williams obviously clearly not back yet. Malachi Corley, like they haven't really done a ton to scheme him in yet. So Garrett Wilson's like really our only weapon. I mean, it's nice. Braylon Allen, I mean, I was kind of high on him coming into the year. He seems like a nice surprise, and they kind of unlocking him for that 1-2 punch. But no, I think at Rodgers at this point in his career, like he's good enough to get us to the playoffs and far into the playoffs. But that's with having an elite defense. If I think if our defense continues like this, we're going to be a first round exit if we even make the playoffs.
Yeah, we really need Mike Williams to get healthy. I know they barely been getting him a workload. Like he's playing a lot of like 2 plays on, 2 plays off kind of. But I mean, once he gets healthy, at least we'll have that second option because it is bad when you could just double. Like I'm sure the Patriots going to too high Garrett Wilson all game, and it'll be a good test this week to see like which guy can step up. We saw
Dude, we need
Lazard do it,
Conklin to
but
get involved too.
one of them was a garbage time. He hasn't really thrown to the tight ends, and
Yeah, he didn't do shit.
not-
I had Conklin 25 yards week 1. I was like, what the fuck? He had 1 catch for 6 yards.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
not
that
too worried about
think
it.
that was with Tyrod too.
The O-line it's a completely new O-line, and they've actually looked really good in pass protection so
They
far.
have.
They're
Yeah.
going to continue to get better, and I think if Rodgers looked already decent enough to win games with while he's rusty, I think it's only going to get better. But if the defense continues to underperform, it's going to be a long season.
It also depends what offensive coordinator we get. I mean, and Nathaniel Hackett like didn't wake up till the second half. I mean, his play calling in the first half was terrible. He's so predictable right now. It's like it almost seems like every first down is like an automatic. You know, it's Breece Hall up the middle, and then it's like you get 2 yards, and then it's 2nd and 8, and then they try to run it again, and it's 3rd and 6, and it's like if the pass protection holds up and one of Rodgers' receivers can get free, can we get the first down? You know, it's just like so predictable. And then he kind of brought Braylon Allen into the second half, and they were scheming up some trick plays and stuff like. Or some misdirections and stuff, and really kind of unlocking the playbook.
Barely.
So the play calling needs to be better, just way better.
Hackett's never been a good play caller.
No.
Like,
I mean,
ever.
if you're running that same offense with Zach Wilson, we're 100% losing that game. I don't even know if we're putting up a touchdown. I mean, that's Rodgers being a veteran and stuff, and being able to push the ball down the field and keep plays alive without doing stupid shit.
And also change shit at the line. Like
Yeah,
he's him right now in the league. Like if you have the most confidence in anyone in the league to go up to the line of scrimmage and make a switch right now, it's Aaron Rodgers with his experience.
I mean, hey, let's offer Fashanu to the Bears and go get Roman here. I mean, it's kind of funny. They're the ones that probably should have taken Fashanu, and we're the ones that should have gotten a wide receiver. But
Or Brock.
yeah, no. I don't know.
I would have taken Brock Powers.
I would have, but I mean, who knows if we'd even be using him, right? I mean, that's
No,
giving,
at some point
that's
this
giving Hackett
year,
a little too much credit.
At some point this year, you're gonna be thankful you have Fashanu.
Probably.
Fashanu has looked awesome.
With Tyron Smith's history. With Tyron Smith's history, yeah. Also, Mekhi Becton playing guard for the Eagles is hilarious.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
All right. Before we get too far into the Jets propaganda, that is all the questions we got.
All right, Garrett.
Okay. Thank you, G.
Good
You're
luck
welcome,
in your flag
boys.
football game tonight. He's going to be representing Chem Dachai in the
touchdowns.
Fraternity,
Let's go,
right? Chem Dachai?
Lambda Chi.
The Lambda Chi in the fraternity
Shout
football
out.
game tonight.
Let's go see let's see a Matteo Tramatola stat line out of you. 300 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. For those of you who don't, this kid from Voorhees broke all of Colin Tong's records. Most carries, most yards. I mean, 300 yards in a football game with 4 touchdowns in a high school game is crazy. And then Colin's first reaction is, "Fuck, you broke my record."
That's just not true, dude.
It's like, dude, it's a 16-year-old kid. I mean, come on now.
That's fake news. Fake news.
Oh yeah, is that some propaganda?
That is some propaganda.
And they're gonna do what the media does and take that snippet, and Colin's gonna be put on blast around Voorhees High School. All right, Garrett, peace.
All right, Reagan, that was fun. Let's talk about some games.
So much fun.
We're gonna start it off with your New York Jets tonight. The Pats are at the Jets. The Jets are 6.5-point favorites. The over/under very low at 38.5. I know you taking them to win, but do they cover given the history the Jets have had with the Patriots?
They do. I mean, the history doesn't mean shit because all that history is with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I mean, this is a whole new coaching staff.
Oh, Mac Jones has some good runs against you guys.
Yeah, well, I'd say we're a different Jets team, but I mean, a lot of that comes with the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick stack. So I do think we get it done here. I do think we cover. I just think at the end of the day, our defense, while it has looked bad, I mean, this offense is just not going to be able to move the ball well. I do think Ramondre will still have a big game just because we're so susceptible to the run, but I think we're going to continue to get better and better every week as a defensive unit. And I think offensively, like I just think Rodgers, the same thing, is just going to continue to get better and better. I think this game goes under for sure, but I kind of see it as like a 24-10 Jets game. Not a lot of points, but I do think we definitely cover by double digits here.
Yeah, I got the Jets winning, of course, but I do have the Pats covering, and I'm envisioning the game script for tomorrow as we just saw Jordan Mason have a huge game against that Jets front, and that was with Jermaine Johnson. Now Jermaine's gone. And Brissett against this Jets secondary is just a really bad matchup. So in order for the Patriots to stay competitive, it's got to be another game in which Ramondre gets 20-plus carries, and he's got to be efficient. They got to play good defense. And you've highlighted the offensive struggles the Jets have had thus far. So I envision a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be like a 17-13 Jets win. And ultimately, Aaron Rodgers is going to make the plays in the fourth quarter. They're going to get the win, but I think it's going to be a close one. And I think the game ends on a Jacoby Brissett interception.
Hell yeah.
Now we get to talk about my Giants at the Cleveland Browns. The Giants are 6-point dogs. The same exact total as the Jets-Patriots game at 38.5. And man, my Giants just lost to the Commanders. The Browns don't look like world beaters right now. Deshaun Watson does not look good, but I don't know. It's just hard for me to have faith in my Giants after what happened last week, Reagan. I know you have no faith here, but do they cover the 6 in a low total here?
No, they don't. The Browns are going to win. They're going to cover here. It's going to be low. Another one I think is going to hit the under for sure, but I just think Cleveland's going to play kind of their brand. It just seems like a classic game that they normally play where it's ugly, low scoring. I don't expect it to be a lot of points here, but the Browns are just have so much more talent, especially on the defensive side of things. I find it hard to believe that the Giants are going to be able to put up double digits. I think it's going to be a struggle there, but I think their defense is good enough to limit a Nick Chubb-less offense, especially the way Watson's played. So I just think at the end of the day, the Browns are just more talented and will prevail. But I'm kind of looking at it like almost like a 14-6, maybe even like a 10-3 game. Like it's just going to be ugly and low scoring.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I have the Browns winning and covering here. I was thinking 17-6 or a 20-10 type of game. You know, the Giants have really struggled to get off the field on third down. They've also struggled to stop the run. I think Jerome Ford is going to have a big game here. I think for the Giants to be competitive, it's got to be the Malik Neighbors show, but also you can't just funnel him 18 targets when he's going to have Denzel Ward lined up on him. Like, it's going to be a much more difficult matchup, so they need to get other guys involved. I've been impressed with how Singletary's looked thus far, and actually saw that Singletary's forced the most missed tackles of any running back in the league right now. And you know who's forced the least missed tackles, Reagan?
Oh.
Saquon Barkley. Interesting stat that I
Looks
saw.
like y'all made the right move.
No one wants to talk about that, but okay, we'll pay Singletary $3 million a year. But
let's go.
I've
from Giants Twitter.
Yeah. But it was a big chart. It had every running back on the chart though. Every running back, like, this is an interesting little thing right here. It's been 2 weeks, so
Yeah.
I digress. It's not a big sample size, but still, I've been impressed with Motor thus far. He's going to have to continue to do what he's doing, but we need other guys to get involved. And Daniel Jones is going to have to protect the ball. But I don't know. I just don't think the Giants have enough firepower, especially going against that Cleveland defense, which they play really stout in Cleveland.
Sounds good.
Green Bay at Tennessee. Titans 3-point favorite. The over-under 36.5. Another very low total. I know you got the Titans, Reagan. Tell me why.
Yeah, I mean, I feel super confident in them this week. I mean, honestly, I'd be down to make this our big bet game of the week, but the only reason I'm not is because if Jordan Love plays, this all goes out the window. But the way Tennessee's defense has been playing, I'm super confident. Even with Will Levis making some boneheaded plays, I expect them to kind of go away. I mean, I think Callahan's just going to be on his ass, just continuing to like hone in, like you got to be smarter, and I expect them to get smarter as the season goes on. But I can't imagine a Malik Willis-led offense being able to win this game here. Like you're not going to be able to run the ball 60 times and run it down their throat like you did last time. And to me, Will Levis is better than Anthony Richardson at this point. That might be an unpopular opinion, but hey, this isn't not fantasy football. This is NFL we're talking here. And Anthony Richardson, we saw it last week. He could not move the ball down the field. He's not an established thrower of the football yet. He can run. He can run with the best of them, but Will Levis actually looked good. He had some really good throws. So I think this is actually sneaky high scoring here, but I got Tennessee getting it done.
Yeah, this Tennessee defense is better than Indy's at this point. So and you know that they're going to be prepared for Jacob. Jacobs had 32 carries last week. I think it's going to have to be a similar type of game script where he's getting at least 25 carries for the Packers to move the ball. But I think this could be another low-scoring game that the Packers squeak out. And I think Malik Willis, I'm really impressed with his mindset right now and his efficiency last week. I mean, it wasn't a ton of passes. It was only 14, but he completed 12 for over 100 yards and a touchdown. I thought that was pretty solid. So I think he's going to have some extra fuel here getting traded from the Titans. I love my revenge games. So give me the Packers on the road to get the upset.
All right.
Bears at Colts. Colts a 1-point favorite. The over-under 43.5. Both quarterbacks really have been struggling with their accuracy thus far. Caleb's taken a lot of hits. That interior offensive line does not look good, Reagan, but I know you're expecting a bounce back for the Bears here.
Yeah, this is one of the games I'm most confident in this week. I'm down to make it the big bet. I don't know how confident you are in the Colts, but I'm super confident in the Bears here. I think their defense is going to step up big here. I think Caleb Williams is going to have a bounce back game. And I think DeAndre Swift is going to get super involved this week. I mean, this is kind of where you beat this Colts team is on the ground. I mean, we saw ETN have a big game, or I'm sorry, not ETN, Josh Jacobs have a big game last week. And in week one, I mean, both backs were heavily in. Wait, what the fuck am I talking about? Who did the Colts play week one? What am I?
Houston. They lost 29-27.
I'm sorry. I don't know why. I got all my South teams myself. We saw Joe Mixon have a huge week one. So the Colts have been gashed on the ground the first 2 weeks, and I think Swift is going to gash him here. I think Caleb Williams is going to get more comfortable here, maybe throw his first touchdown pass. But I expect the defense to just make life hell for Anthony Richardson. I mean, we saw they were able to keep one of the highest powered offenses in the Texans to 19 points last week, especially after allowing 16 in the first half and then to kind of go and hold them to 3 points in the second half. So, but yeah, I have full confidence. I don't know how confident you are in the Colts, but I am confident in the Bears.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't something I'm super confident in, but I am going with the Colts. I mean, this is just a really tough game for me because I trust Indy's offense more at this point of the season, but Chicago's defense is just way superior to the Colts. I think the Colts win based off of Jonathan Taylor. I think he has a monster game here. I think Richardson completes a bomb or two. I think Richardson runs for 50 yards. Again, I don't see another high-scoring game here. I see like another 17-13 or 20-14 type of game. It just doesn't seem right in Chicago right now, and their interior offensive line just looks really bad. Caleb's just taking a thumping right now. I don't think his confidence is there. I'm going to go with the home team and nearly a pick 'em here.
You want to do a punishment this week on this one?
What do you have in mind?
Cinnamon challenge?
Cinnamon challenge? What is a cinnamon challenge? Remind me.
You gotta take a scoopful of it is a I have it here. You got 60 seconds to take a spoonful of ground cinnamon sugar.
All right, I'll do it. It
was a viral challenge for a long time. I mean,
Okay.
There's some health dangers, like you can have a collapsed lung or something like that. But I mean, we don't have weak lungs here. I mean, that's so just swallow. I mean, Garrett did it a while back, and he was like choking on it. But it's a fun one. You can look it up. I mean, it's very popular in the early 2000s. So why not bring it back?
Okay, I like it. Let's do it.
All right,
It's
a punishment.
It's a punishment. I'm up 2-0, so let's make it 3-0. I don't want to be.
Hey, how you doing in the spread?
Hey, come on, Richardson. Come on.
You get the ones that matter. I mean, you get the ones that matter. You're good at hitting touchdown scores, and you're good at head-to-head spread matchups. I mean, you're 12, 19, and 1, but somehow 2 of those 12 you were right on.
Yeah, 2 of those 12 I got right.
15, and 1, so I got a winning record, but not when it matters.
Not where it matters. You just don't have the clutch gene like me. It's fine, Reagan. All right, Houston's a 2.5-point favorite on the road at Minnesota. The over/under 45.5. A battle of 2-0 teams. Who would have thought the Vikings would be 2-0 at this point? The defense looked really good. Are you taking Stroud or are you going to rock with Sammy D?
I'm taking the Texans here. I just can't see the Vikings going 3-0 here. I mean, Houston's just so high-powered here, even on the road. I mean, I just think the Vikings defense is not what Chicago's is. I mean, while they looked good last week against the 49ers, I don't know. I feel like Sammy D's due for a bad game. I mean, it's just going off of history. I mean, he's not a guy that is going to continue to light it up week in and week out. And I think Houston's defense is going to make it difficult for Sammy D. I mean, Jettas should be playing, but if he is to miss, I mean, that could be an Addison, Jefferson, Hawkinson less offense. And without any of those guys, I mean, you're relying on Naylor, you're relying on Josh Oliver. I mean, you obviously got both running backs who you'd have to ultra rely on in Jones and Chandler. But here I got Houston winning. I think they win by double digits. And this is kind of a wake up call for the Vikings.
Yeah, Purdy's comments after the game last week telling Flores, like, damn, like your scheme is crazy. I think that's a good tip of the cap to Flores. I think Flores will probably get another head coaching opportunity after this year if this defense continues to play this well. But I agree with you. I'm going to go Houston. Just Stroud over Darnold at the end of the day for me. That Stroud and Nico Collins connection has been dominant thus far. And, I mean, Tank Dell has barely done shit. They haven't really needed him to. So the weapons right now, they're there for Houston. I mean, they're healthier. They're stronger as a unit. The quarterback is better. The offensive lines are pretty comparable. Defensively, yeah, I mean, they're both comparable, but I'm going to take the quarterback and CJ Stroud. I think Houston's got a lot of mojo going right now, and I agree with you. I think Sammy D is due for a letdown game. Philadelphia at New Orleans. The Saints a 2.5-point favorite after whooping the Cowboys. Their 2-0 start, the over-under 49.5. Man, Kamara's coming off that monster game. I was really tempted to put one of these guys in Big Tong's parlay, but I couldn't decide which one to take, so I just faded it. But it's a high total. Should be a fun game here, Reagan. What are you thinking? Are you back on the Saints bandwagon?
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because, I mean, I already saw FanDuel promoting Kamara 4 touchdowns at plus 4,400 on their Instagram, and I'm like, that guy's not scoring a touchdown. Let's be honest. Whenever they do that, it's just like, hey, we got hammered last week. Like, let's make some money back by offering a bet that's not going to hit. I mean, and there probably will be like 10, 20, 30 grand thrown on that at everyone. There's going to be some dumb suckers out there that are going to do it. So to me, I don't think Kamara scores at all here. I do think this will be a high scoring game because the Eagles defense, I'm not sold on them. And the Saints defense has been playing well, but the Eagles offense is very good. So I expect this to be a high scoring game. I think it's a bounce back affair for the Eagles. And I think the Saints are going to take a step back. I mean, Derek Carr, he can't continue to play like this, can he? I mean, I did throw an MVP future, but that's more like a mental thing. Cause I'm like, if this guy wins after I predicted it last year, and funny enough, I got it at plus 5,000. He's already down to plus 2,500. So I hopped on before all the other minnows hopped in. So that's nice, but I don't know, man. I just can't see the Saints going to 3-0, and it's just every win they get just hurts because it's like, why couldn't this have been last year when I said they were going to go 13-4?
I agree with you. The Saints, don't get me wrong, I'm impressed from what they've done. More so last week. I mean, they beat the Panthers week 1, so the Panthers might have the worst team ever. But yeah, I mean, last week was very impressive, but I'm not buying into it yet. I mean, Carr's looked legit, but when has he done it this consistently? It's been years, right? So Philadelphia is a different animal, I think. I mean, they just lost a really tough one at home, that Barkley drop, but I do think Barkley's going to rebound and have a good game here. I think Barkley's going to score, and I do doubt A.J. Brown's not going to play in this one, which kind of made it tougher for me as well. But yeah, I'm going to go with the Eagles as the dogs on the road. Not super confident in this one, though. Like, what if the Saints go out and beat the Eagles by 20, and then people are like, wow, are the Saints like the best team in the NFC right now? Like, that'd be crazy. Didn't see that one coming, but I think Rashid Shaheed has another long touchdown this week. I think he keeps the streak rolling.
Dude, he's good. He's legit. He really does look legit.
Dude, he's fucking good. The only guy who has more 50-yard plus touchdowns than him is Tyreek Hill. Like, he's legit. And Carr slangs, he chucks that downfield. He slangs that thing, dude. So I like Rashid Shaheed. Now, I'm really curious to see, is this the breakout game for Chris Olave this year? Like, he hasn't really been that thus far, Like, and this is an Eagles team where, I mean, Slay just doesn't look like the same player, and they have some inexperience back there. But, can we get Chris Olave more involved? I'd love to see that. I know fantasy managers are dying for it.
100%. You would love to see that. So I hope they do continue to get him more involved. I mean, he was drafted in the late second, early third. So, I mean, I wouldn't panic yet, but you'd love to see the involvement get higher, especially if they're putting up 40 points a game. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. 40 points a game, and Olave's just, I don't know, dude. I don't know. It's weird.
You would, if you told me that coming into the season, I'm like, oh, Olave's got to be a top 5 receiver right now.
Absolutely. The Chargers at the Steelers. Steelers a 1-point favorite, another very low total. The over under 35.5. This is another clash of 2-0 teams. Who would have thought it before the season? And they've done it a very similar way with dominant defense and running the football. Can Justin Fields lead the Steelers to a 3-0 start?
No. I think the Chargers get it done here. I mean, they're going to be out. They're the best offense. I don't know. I mean, at least I don't know if they're the best offense, but Justin Herbert's definitely a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins and hell of a lot better than Bo Nix. So I think the Chargers do get it done here. I think this is very low scoring. I can see like a 17-13 game. I mean, the Steelers offense, like, I mean, they can't put up points. They have one touchdown in 2 games. So you're really relying on this defense a lot. And I think eventually, like, teams are going to be able to score on it. I mean, defenses just, they can't. They'll eventually break. And then when you break, you allow points. And when points get put up on the board, you need your offense to put up points to keep up. And I can't see a Justin Fields led offense doing that. I can't. I mean, you put up 13 points last week against the Broncos. Their defense is terrible. So I got the
Yeah.
Chargers winning here.
Yeah, I got Pittsburgh, but I'm hearing everything you're saying. I think it's going to be a 16-13 win. You're right. Chargers have a better defense than the Broncos do, but I think the Steelers have a better defense than the Chargers do, and they also have the home field advantage. And I think in Pittsburgh, it's one of those spots where they get really rowdy, and it's a home field advantage that actually is pretty strong. But yeah, I mean, clearly Justin Herbert is much better than Justin Fields at this point. I think if the Steelers are going to win, it's not necessarily going to be because of Fields. Like, I think I could see a TJ Watt, a big strip sack or something like that. You know, I think the defense makes a play to get the win. But another game where it's just a low total, another grinded out type of game that you want to stay away from for fantasy purposes and gambling purposes for sure.
All right, moving on. Let's move on.
Denver at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay 2-0 start. 6.5-point favorites here. The over-under 39.5. Another very low total, probably because all Bo Nix knows how to do is throw interceptions. Reagan, there's no way you're backing Bo Nix here, are you?
I mean, I think they can cover. I have them covering here. I think it's going to be a backdoor cover. Like, I think the Bucs are going to be in control most of the game. I could see it being like up a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns, and the Broncos get a late score to just cover. You know, you see the Bucs being up 10 points with like 2 minutes left, and Bo Nix gets kind of one of those prevent garbage time touchdowns to get the backdoor cover. But no, I think the Bucs kind of control the whole game and win it here. I just kind of think 6.5 is a lot of points for a team in the Bucs that I don't fully believe in. And I'd say, while the Broncos offense doesn't look great, their defense actually has looked decent. I mean, granted, it's against the Seahawks, who, how good are they really? And then the Steelers, who we know their offense is terrible, but so far their defense has been way better than I expected in Denver.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that was such a big win for Tampa Bay last week, and I really, really hope this isn't a letdown spot because I am taking the Bucs in Survivor here. But I mean, Nix has no touchdowns, has 4 interceptions, and Baker and that offense have been cooking. Like, Chris Godwin's been a stud, and Evans scored twice in week 1. Surtain's going to be on Evans in this one, so I think Godwin's going to continue the hot streak and have another big game of 100 yards. And I think Tampa Bay gets it done, and they do cover the spread here at home.
Yeah, I think it will be a little bit of a letdown. I feel like it's just too obvious that the Bucs, the way they've been playing, should just steamroll here. So I think it's going to be closer than people expect.
Yeah, I really hope you're wrong. Carolina at the Raiders. Raiders are a 5.5-point favorite. The over-under 40.5. Not the prettiest game on the slate, that's for sure, with Andy Dalton leading the charge for the Carolina Panthers. But, you know, Vegas has been slanging that thing. Do you think they expect the same thing in this game? Can Andy Dalton keep the Panthers in it?
Yeah, Panthers are actually going to win here. This is a huge letdown spot.
Oh, you and the Panthers.
I know. But if it was Bryce Young, I would totally get it. But, you know, Andy Dalton gives me some confidence here. I think the offense is going to be humming here. I think all the veterans are going to get hyped up to see that they got a new guy. And I think Andy Dalton's going to bring in some much needed energy to the offense. They're going to be able to move the ball. But I think this is a huge letdown spot for the Raiders. I mean, they're coming off of a huge win, and I think they're going to come out and be like, you know, all mighty high in the thing and kind of sleeping on the Panthers. Oh, this team's 0-2. Everyone's steamrolling them. And I think they're going to get humbled here. I think the Panthers are going to actually almost win by double digits here. Crazy enough.
You almost might have just talked me into taking the Panthers spread. I still think the Raiders win.
Doesn't it seem like a letdown spot? Like, everyone's going to be betting on
totally
Vegas.
Does.
I mean, you're going against the team that can't cover, hasn't been close to covering, versus a team that just came off of a massive statement win. And it's not like the Raiders are a good team. I mean, it was a good win, but do I fully believe in the Raiders? No. So I think the Panthers will cover here, but I do think they can win. I just think it's a huge letdown spot. It's a lot of points to give a team I have no faith in.
I'm not going to lie, dude. It's just such a letdown spot. They just beat Baltimore, and now you have the Panthers with Andy Dalton. You know what? I still think the Raiders win, but I'm going to switch mine to Carolina to cover because I just think Andy Dalton is so excited to be back in there in a starting role. Man.
It's also so NFL, dude. Like any
It's
team,
so any
any
week.
team can beat any team on any week. And also, it's like
Yeah.
we've just seen so many upsets already that I think the trend continues where it's like, oh, the team that just had a huge upset now just got upset by a team they should have had a big win over.
Yeah. I
I
will
mean, I
say,
would
though,
not touch the Raiders in Survivor. I think that's very dangerous.
I do think it's dangerous as well. I think a lot of people will do it, though. I will
Mhm.
just say, Carolina just allowed 2 touchdowns to Quentin Johnston. Last week, Devontae Adams feasted with Gardner Minshew against Baltimore's secondary. Devontae
Minshew.
Adams is your last leg in the Big Tong touchdown score parlay. That is
Wow.
that is it. So I mentioned earlier, we got Jordan Mason, we got Devontae Adams, we got Jamar Chase, and the fourth one was David Montgomery. Take it to the
Are you
bank, fellas.
asking or are you telling me that?
No, that is David Montgomery.
You didn't sound too confident there.
No, because I forgot who it was for a little second, but I figured I remembered at the right time. Yes, so that is the touchdown score parlay. All right, let's move on. The Dolphins are at the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 5-point favorites. The over-under 41.5. Dolphins led by Skylar Thompson. Not a ton of optimism there. Seattle is 2-0, but they have beaten Denver by 6 and New England by 3. Some tight scoring games, with some not very good teams, Reagan.
Yeah, I mean, I threw a big bet on Seattle, one of my bigger bets of the futures on Seattle under 7.5 wins. So I'm not in love where we're at right now, but those were 2 ones that were toss-ups. But honestly, the team hasn't looked good. I mean, they're 2-0, but very fraudulent. I mean, you only beat the Patriots overtime by 3, and then you were getting waxed by Denver most of that game. It took you the second half to wake up. I mean, in the first half, they did not look good against Denver. So this team really hasn't impressed me. Even with Skylar Thompson, I think Miami comes in and gets it done here. I think this is a big letdown spot for Seattle. I think everyone's going to be fading the Dolphins like, oh, Skylar Thompson looks like shit. I think this is going to be very, very similar to what we saw last week where, oh, how could Malik Willis beat the Colts? I think it's very similar where everyone's going to be like, oh, how the hell can Skylar Thompson go into Seattle and beat him? Well, guess what? He's got some sick weapons around him. Same thing that Malik Willis had. And I think this is a big A-chain game here. And I think Miami's defense has a big bounce back game here against Seattle. Get right game because they got cooked against the run here. And especially if Kenneth Walker can't go here and it's another Zach Charbonnet game. Because look, while Charbonnet is a good fantasy start, he is no Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm going to go Seattle to win, but Miami to cover. Just the margin of victory that Seattle's had thus far. Miami just has so much more talent on both sides of the ball than Denver and New England. Even though I don't have faith in Skylar Thompson to necessarily make the plays in the fourth quarter to get the win, it's still like, all right, going to be a lot of quick, get the ball out, get the ball in the hands of those speedsters. And, if you look at Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle's splits with Skylar Thompson compared to Tua, it's night and day, not even close, which you would expect. Obviously, there's going to be regression, but it's like way worse. So that does concern me, which is why I agree with you. I think it's a big Achane game, 25 plus touches for Achane. But ultimately, I think they fall short in the fourth quarter because Skylar Thompson's not going to be able to make the throws necessary to get the outright win. Baltimore at Dallas. Baltimore's a 1-point favorite on the road. The over-under 48.5. Both teams coming off some really tough losses here. Who rights the ship?
Dallas does, man. I mean, Dallas was so good at home last year. Like, I think last week was an outlier. I think they have a bounce back game here. It's just something else at AT&T. Dallas in the regular season at home is huge. I know Lamar is very good against the NFC. He doesn't lose a lot, but I don't know, man. This Baltimore O-line is a huge issue here. I think Micah Parsons is going to have a huge game here, and I think Baltimore's going to struggle again. I think they might be starting out 0-3. I'm back in Dallas here, man. I think CD and Dak are going to have a bounce back game. Yeah, I mean, I think it will be high scoring. I would take the over here. I mean, Dallas's defense, I dropped them in fantasy after last week. I think they'll play better than last week. But this is a matchup that I would want a lot of fantasy players in, but I think Dallas ultimately gets it done here at home. And
yeah,
hey, they're dogs too, which is nice.
Yeah, no, getting Dallas as a dog at home just seems foreign given what they've shown us in previous years at home. And that's why it's like, okay, was last week an outlier, or are the Cowboys just lacking the talent they've had in previous years and just there's outside distractions and all this shit? And Jerry Jones obviously has put a ton of pressure on this team to perform this season. I'm going to go with Baltimore. I just can't see them dropping to 0-3. They're just too good of a team. And if you go top to bottom roster wise, Baltimore's a better roster. But then again, it's just really difficult because you mentioned that home field advantage for Dallas. But I don't know. We just saw Minshew and Bowers and Devontae have a really nice game against this Baltimore team. And it's like, okay, it's going to be Dak and CD. But then again, if it's like they're going to have two guys shading over CD Lamb, like I really, with Ferguson beat up, I don't have faith in really anyone else in this offense to get going for Dallas. Ultimately, I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens on the road.
Okay, fair.
San Francisco, 7.5-point favorite on the road at the Rams. The over under 43.5. This decimated Rams team, really, historically, they've played Shanahan and the Niners really well, but I don't know. It just seems like they're outgunned here, Reagan.
Yeah, I mean, I actually have the Rams covering here because they're at home, so I like that a lot. But also, I think between Stafford and McVay, I mean, there's just guys that are going to get it done. They're going to figure out a way with all the injuries to keep this game close. I think that's a ton of points to give them, even with all the injuries. 49ers will win here. It'll be a bounce back game for them. But I just think the Rams are going to know they have issues, especially defensively after letting Kyler Murray let them up. But offensively, the line injured, weapons out. But I just think Sean McVay is such a good coach here that he's going to have enough to scheme up to keep them in this game. Ultimately, the 49ers just have too much talent, and they're just way more healthy, even without Debo and CMC. But I just think ultimately the Rams will find a way to backdoor cover here.
Yeah, I mean, no Debo, no CMC. Ayuk's been clearly rusty for missing all of camp. You know, I think it's going to be a big Jordan Mason game yet again. You know, he scored in back-to-back games against the Jets and Minnesota, which have much better fronts than the Rams do. And the Rams have allowed touchdowns to Gibbs, Monty, and James Conner this far. That is why Mason's in the parlay. But with all the injuries to the Rams offense, it's going to have to be Kyron Williams. But we've seen the rushing efficiency just hasn't been there yet. I mean, to no fault of his own. It's just really difficult for them to run the ball right now with several offensive linemen on IR. And I'm not sure you can do it against this front. And I don't know who Stafford has trust in that wide receiver room right now. So I think even without Debo, I think the Niners whoop the Rams on the road here. And I think there's going to be a lot of Niners fans in that stadium. Detroit, 3-point favorites on the road at the Arizona Cardinals. The over-under 52.5, our highest on the slate. Arizona's getting a lot of hype, and rightfully so. I know you're a big fan of these Cardinals, but you don't have them this week.
No, I have the Lions. I think this is a get-right game for them. I mean, 3 points, I'll take that any day of the week. If it was like 6, I'd probably take the Cardinals to cover. But I think this is a get-right game. I think they're going to find a way to get Sam Laporta more involved. I mean, we saw after week 1, St. Brown wasn't involved enough. What did they do the next week? 19 targets. So I think it's one of those teams that they're going to figure out a way to get all their weapons gelling. Laporta will have a bigger role. I think both running backs have a huge game here, and I just think Arizona's defense isn't good enough to keep up with that Lions offense. I think it'll be high scoring. I could see it being, honestly, 35-24 Lions here.
Oh, no field goals allowed. All touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. I was sitting here, Reagan, and I'm like, all right, which one? Because I knew I was going to have a Lion in my parlay this week. I was like, Monty, Gibbs, or Jamison Williams. I think they all score. Really? Okay. I do. I think they all score.
Put in JMO. Let's get some juice. Let's get greedy in this.
I mean, we could put in JMO to get real juicy, but I already made my case. He scored back-to-back games. Detroit's offensive line should just steamroll this Cardinals front. The yards before contact should be extremely high in this one. And, you know, Arizona's getting that hype. They steamrolled the hospital bed Rams. They battled with Buffalo, but Detroit is a tougher test here, even though Arizona's at home. But, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big game on the ground for the Lions. Jamison Williams, long touchdown. Let's go. Roll Lions. They're going to cover and win.
Let's go.
Chiefs, 3.5-point favorites at the Atlanta Falcons. The over-under 46.5. Kansas City with 2 impressive wins against Baltimore and Kansas City thus far. Atlanta needed a Barkley drop, but Kirk Cousins, man, the corpse of Kirk Cousins came back to life in the fourth quarter the other night. Can he keep the magic going?
In a sense, I think this game comes down to a game-winning Kansas City field goal. It's a primetime game. You know they're going to get a call somehow, and they're going to come out. Harrison Butker's going to come out and make the game-winning field goal. But I think because of the hook, I'm taking the Falcons at plus 3.5, but I do think the Chiefs get it done. I think this will be back and forth all game. Have not been impressed at all by the Chiefs offense. I mean, that's why I was so against Mahomes coming into this year. Hated the fact that he was going around Hurts and Allen. He doesn't have the rushing upside. And after what he did last year, didn't like it. I kind of bought into Kelsey a little bit just because I was like, you know what, we've seen what he can do and after the playoffs. But clearly both of these guys are just not going to be what they were in the regular season. I think this offense is a team that wants to rely more on the run. Obviously, Pacheco going down may help that. So for fantasy owners, if you drafted Kelsey or Mahomes, they might be passing a lot more now that they aren't going to be able to run it as well. But I think this is a team that wants to be a defensive first team. So I think Atlanta showed enough, and I think Kirk Cousins may have broken that prime time spell, but showed enough that they could get the cover here.
By the way that you envisioned this game going, that is how I envisioned last week's games going against the Bengals. I did say it. The Chiefs are going to win with a field goal at the end, and it did happen with the PI. So you see a similar game script here, but you have the Falcons
it's
covering
the Chiefs'
the
primetime game script. It always comes down to the fourth quarter. Mahomes has the ball, and somebody makes a big play, or they call a foul or a penalty, and Butker comes out and kicks it from however far. It doesn't matter. He's debatable the best kicker in football.
Politics I'm gonna go with the Chiefs to win and cover. It's just I know I predicted preseason the Falcons win the division, but I'm just not sold on what I've seen yet. I am sold on Bijan Robinson. He looks absolutely legit. But Trent McDuffie is that dude. Just really did a really good job against Jamar Chase last week. So I think Drake London's going to be erased from this game. The offense going to have to go through Bijan Robinson. But I just trust Mahomes to get it done. And I think, everyone's going, what's wrong with Travis Kelce, this and that. I do think we see a vintage Travis Kelce game here, and the Chiefs win by a touchdown.
I hope so, and I'm sure most Travis Kelce owners hope so. I mean, it's a rough start so far, so we'll see, though.
Hey, he's one of the best of all time. Have faith.
That is true. That is true. That is true.
All right, our Monday night slate. Yes, we got 2 Monday night football games. The Jags are at the Bills. The Bills 5.5-point favorites. The over/under 45.5. Real tough start to the year for the Jags, losing 2 close ones to Miami and Cleveland. But Reagan, we both think that they right the ship this week.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think Buffalo might be playing a little high right now. I mean, they're kind of at their ceiling right now, in my opinion. I think they're going to struggle a little bit. I think, they've had some good game plans going on, but I think Jacksonville, it's panic time. I mean, you can't start 0-3. You might as well just say the season's over. I mean, Doug Peterson's seat is steaming hot. Ow, you sit on that, you're going out. I mean, so I do think they get it done here. I think they're going to find ways to get Christian Kirk more involved here. They have to. I mean, same with Evan Ingram. You have to. I mean, Brian Thomas, love to see what he's done so far, but you just got to find a way. I mean, Trevor Lawrence has the weapons. I think the running backs are going to have a good game. I talked about it earlier. I think ETN will have a big game, and I think Bigsby is flexible in this. But Jacksonville's defense also needs to step up, and they have been playing well. I mean, they held Miami to 20, and then they held Cleveland to 18. So the defense has been playing better, but the offense needs to step up big here to get the win. But I do think they can get it done on the road.
Yeah, I mean, I like what you mentioned about Doug Peterson's seat being hot. Like, they won a playoff game in his first year, but it took a historic comeback to get it done. Last year, starting 8-3 and then the collapse, and now with an 0-2 start. If you drop 0-3 and Houston wins, to dig yourself out of a 3-game hole to the Texans is just going to be really difficult. And, Jacksonville's owner is not a patient gentleman. So I do like that point that you made. And I think this is a tough matchup for the Bills stylistically with the Jags defense that you mentioned. Their front is really damn good. And Buffalo wants to lean into the run with James Cook and then Josh Allen to use his legs, even though he didn't really have to against Miami. But yeah, I think this is another letdown spot for the Bills here. They just steamrolled Miami. Jags are 0-2. I think everyone's going to be hammering Bills 5.5 at home. And I don't know. I think Lawrence makes the plays. I think he has a solid game. I think ETN has a solid game. But I don't think it's going to be necessarily a high-scoring game here. I could see like a 20-17 type of game. But yeah, I got the Jags, 5.5-point dogs going on the road to Buffalo in primetime and getting the win.
Let's go. Come on, Jags. Get the boys done. The boys could use a spread win and a money line win.
Absolutely. All right, let's wrap it up with the Commanders at the Bengals. Bengals 7.5-point favorites. The over/under 48.5. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little surprised the total was this high for the Bengals at 7.5-point favorites. But I've already mentioned it earlier.
Their defense is so bad.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But I already mentioned it earlier. Here comes the monster Jamar Chase game. Reagan, what do you say in this one?
Yeah, I got the Bengals covering, winning here. They're my survivor pick this week, so I have full confidence. I mean, I find it hard to envision this team starting out 0-3, and 2 of those losses being to debatable 2 of the worst teams in the league. I mean, Washington definitely looks better than I expected so far, but at the end of the day, I mean, this is a bottom 10 team. So, I mean, for a team with Super Bowl aspirations, I think they got to get it done. I mean, they got to. And at home, too, you can't lose to the Commanders and the Patriots. Can you at home? I hope not. But I think, how they played against the Chiefs last night, obviously it's a different team than we saw week one, and I think they're going to continue to get better here. I think it's going to be a big game for Chase. If Higgins plays, obviously you're playing him. I think Mike Gesicki's a good play here, and honestly, I hope they continue to get Jermaine Burton involved. I mean, he had one catch for 43 yards, but he's a guy who took a lot in underdog, so I would add him as a speculative add. And then Andre, I don't even, I'm going to butcher his last name. Do you know how to pronounce it?
Isovas? I don't know.
Isovas, yeah. I mean, 2 catches for 7 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, it was nice to get the touchdowns, but if you take that away, not heavily involved. But I think he's a guy you could flex here and just hope that, they continue to cook this terrible defense. And also, I hate that we have 2 Monday night games here. Hate it. I mean, why can't
I don't
one
like
be
it,
at
dude.
7
I don't
and
like
10?
it.
At least spread them out. Spread them out. Give me 6 hours of football. I don't want 4.5. Now I got to plug in a second TV to watch it. I don't want to flip back and forth. I mean, when I want to watch football, I want to turn into a potato. I don't want to have to be a potato who has to use his thumb to hit back and forth. It's bullshit.
Yeah, I highlighted earlier, this is a monster Jamar Chase game. I think the Bengals win for sure here. I think it's a get-right game. However, I do have the Commanders covering the 7.5. I think it's going to be a backdoor cover. I think Jaden Daniels is going to do enough with his legs to keep them competitive and backdoor cover. I think towards the end of the game, Bengals will take their foot off the gas, and they're going to be playing some more prevent, and Daniels is going to chew that clock and run the ball down the field and get the back door. But, yeah, I love Zach Moss in this game, too. I think we just saw Singletary have a lot of success against Commanders. I think Zach Moss is going to punch one in this game as well. I know Jamar Chase in the parlay because I think he's going to have 15 targets, over 100 yards and score. But, yeah, I like Zach Moss a lot as a flex play in this game as well. Bengals win, but the Commanders cover.
Fair enough. I mean, hey, week 3, man, it's crazy we're already getting to this point.
I know, dude. What the fuck? It's going by too quick.
I know. I don't want the offseason. We need to hit one of these wheels. Who's spinning it tomorrow? I'm not. One of you guys got it.
I mean, I'm here by myself. I have no one to film me to do the wheel.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. We can't take the night off. I mean,
we cannot
get someone. Just find someone on the streets in Hoboken. That could be your punishment, having to just explain to someone what to do it and getting to agree with it. So you just have to keep walking around. Hey, spin the wheel. Spin the wheel. I'll set up like a self recording thing. We'll figure it out. Either do that or get one of the Hoboken boys. You got some boys out there. Ask your neighbor. Be like, most people will be like, hey, you got an extra egg? I'm making cookies or some extra sugar. Hey, you got a minute to spin a wheel for my podcast?
No, you know what? I'll hit up Bednards. We'll get Bednards in to spin.
Oh, there you go. Hit up Bednards.
We'll get Bednards in to spin the wheel.
I don't know if he's a Jet fan, but I know Big Bro's a Jet fan, so I'm sure he'll love to see his brother
he's a Giants fan. He's a Giants fan.
Oh, whatever.
Hey, for all you people that are doubting the wheel, just trust it, right? Just trust it.
Last year we started out like 11, and we ended up 100 units. So
shut
up in the comments and just keep taking it. Just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Stop sending us death threats.
In the wheel. Have faith in the wheel.
All right. The death threats are not cool.
All right, Reagan, that wraps us up. If you're still listening, please like and subscribe. Let us know. Let us know in the comments.
Most of you aren't at this point.
Yeah.
But no. Yes. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice night.